Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're so glad to welcome you as part of our community tonight. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and distributed live stream. By entering this virtual meeting room, you give your consent to be recorded and distributed by Vienna Live with Simeon Moore and other third parties. If you wish to not be recorded, please go to the LinkedIn Live link, link to which I've just placed in the chat room. Tonight, our featured guests are pianist Chano Domínguez and guitarist Ethan Margolis, aka Emaginario, whose new album, The Blues Around Us, will be the subject of tonight's conversation. Welcome, Chano.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Chano, so we just listened to Caribbean blues. You're well known as a jazz flamenco artist. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's my life. It's my way of expression. You know, I was born in the south of Spain, in Cádiz. So my modern music is the flamenco, and the first instrument that I played was the flamenco guitar. So for me, flamenco is a part of my life. Even though I when I was young, was a moment that I was away from the flamenco, looking for another kind of music. But flamenco is the music of where I grew up, and then I fell in love with the universal language of the jazz. So I became like a junkie of jazz, starting to and I go through the musicians that make this fusion in the 70s, like with the Report or Return to Forever or Mahavishnu Orchestra. All these groups influenced to me to go to the jazz world. So that is my way of expression. My way of life. Is my language.
And so you'd say this new album, it's a fusion. It's kind of a fusion album. You can do flamenco and you can do blues together. That's all welcome in jazz.
You know what? You think that jazz and flamenco are like a very different music. That this happened in the top, but if you're looking deep on top, you realize that flamenco and jazz are sharing a lot of things, like the way that the musicians make the music. In flamenco, we have the soleá for the sadness and the seguidilla, and you guys you have the blues, and the blues is is 12 bars, and the Seguirilla and the Solear are 12 bars as well. So we're sharing more than you think that we are. We are closer that we think we are.
Let's listen to our next track. This is Rum Bop Swing. Exciting. Chano,
Wow.
so you were just mentioning that flamenco and jazz and blues are very close to each other. Um, why did you want to record a blues album with Ethan? Why did you think, what do you think Ethan would bring to the record? I think he has kind of a similar background to you, doesn't he?
Well, when I met Ethan, like 10 years ago, we did a concert, and I realized that Ethan is a perfect hybrid musician, because Ethan spent more than 10 years living close to Sevilla in a little town called Lebrija, with a really, really deep flamenco family. So he became like a flamenco guitar player as well. He knows very well all the flamenco styles, like seguirilla, soleá, rumbas, tangos, fandangos, everything. So therefore, when I met him, I thought, wow, this guy is perfect to make something really, really nice. He he got a really great background, because he became from a musical family. Um, and he grew up around all the blues, so he knows very well all the blues style, including the bluegrass and the first really blues that the people played. So I thought, hey, Ethan, let's do something with this kind of blues that with the flamenco rhythm, putting together. So that's why we made the record. But Ethan can say something about that, of course.
Ethan, anything to add?
No, I'm just enjoying listening and seeing all you guys, and there's always something to add, I suppose, but it's I guess as some of the years pass in general, you realize that although so many musicians that we're friends with and that we've known over the years, so many people combine genres and take influences from various genres. in the long haul, there's not a large amount of musicians that sort of dedicate their entire lives or their whole careers to multi-genre exploration. I mean, there are some, obviously, but it's not a lot of people. So I think that as time goes by, I'm becoming more conscious of it daily. That, for a lot of people, it's a small little exploration of a year or 2 years, sometimes even 3 years, 5 years is still kind of small when it's compared to Chano's exploration of 50 years, and my current explorations of, combining ideas with flamenco and blues and jazz is now about 26 years in, so I think the reality is, the more, a lot of these genres are so deep and they're so layered that they require significantly more than 10 years of study, significantly more to really start feeling a little bit, kind of confident in it, to feel like you are actually understanding and relating to the essential qualities of the genre. What are those essential qualities? What kind of spirit, is, even though there's spirit that's shared through music, what elements of spirit are specific to genre? Sometimes there are specific things in certain music forms that are kind of only in there. I believe that. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that in a career of a musician, I'm starting to see that there aren't as many people that are lifelong dedicated to serious genre fusing or hybrid stuff. So in that sense, I think it's both rewarding and it's logical that Chano and I would eventually have made a record like this, and that we would get along, and that we would see reasons for existing in a musical sphere the way we do, because we both really put a ton of work and a lot of years into these explorations, and they're very difficult, these aren't easy paths to take, and I'll just stop, just by remembering a sort of a someone in a session, a drummer, a well-known drummer, very technical guy, long years of studying and session playing. And, I told him, sometimes I get kind of, irritable, or I get stressed out, when I'm trying to put together an arrangement. And he looks at me and he stopped, and he put his drumsticks down, and he goes, "This shit's really hard, Ethan." He's like, "Good music is really tough to make," and we all get that way. And so I think the understanding of that, when you see someone like Chano, who's put in 50 years of dedication into this, it's not just 50 years of, it's 50 years of work as well, and that's powerful. And so I don't know, as years go by, I'm just really starting to value, the sacrifice that is all of that time dedicated to genres that are as deep and complex as both jazz and flamenco. And, it does take a lot of work. It's not always fun, like sometimes it's a lot,
Let's listen to our next track. This
Yeah.
is The Turnaround. Ethan, now tell us, you've studied with the most authentic musicians on the Iberian Peninsula. Chano told us you lived there for more than 20 years. Tell us a little bit about what you've learned from Chano, what working with him has been like.
Um, uh, wow. Well, yeah. So I lived in Spain for full time for about 12 years, and it's been 25 or 26 years, that I've been very connected to it. Um, so just like anywhere, my ear was always open in Spain for elements of, jazz and things that I might hear, but I was completely dedicated to the investigation of cante flamenco, cante hondo, Roma innovations in flamenco music, and all that stuff. So, although I had my ear open to, things that were happening in Spain outside of flamenco, I wasn't very dedicated to it. So, when I got back to the US and started like a quintet that I was leading in Los Angeles, I wanted to collaborate with somebody who understood also the flamenco side of things rhythmically, not as much harmonically. I didn't care as much harmonically about that for jazz, but the rhythmic side and the openness of form, I was very interested in. And so I was, the only person I could think of really that might meet me there was Chano. And since we hadn't played together, we didn't know each other. I wasn't sure how that would work. I didn't know. So I think that we did that, we spoke a few times, we did a performance together. And during the performance, which was in Los Angeles, there was so much improvisation going on in the performance, and there was so many out of the box things that Chano was doing on the piano, harmonically and with chromaticism and with, so many really deep choices that he was making on the instrument in the moment that's when I realized, like, oh wow, Chano is really in both worlds 500%. And as soon as I heard that live, apart from what I already knew about him, as soon as I witnessed that live, I was all in. And I mean, it's we don't have to explain much to each other. It's just, it's just right there. So I mean, he's already established this in his whole life, in his career, and in his playing, and perhaps it's a little less common. Like, so many musicians are coming to the US for jazz so consistently, but it's a little less common that the jazz musicians or, blues artists or something like that are going into the depths of flamenco world. That's a little less common, I think, the other way. So I think it was a period of time where we were feeling each other out, and then said, wow, this has got a lot of potential. And I think perhaps, Chano, correct me if I'm wrong, but when both of us felt that the respect and the authenticity for the genres was there, then there's no more doubt,
Yeah.
Because we live in a musical world where the correct thing to say is, oh, I like it all and I'll play any of it. And, everyone's kind of like a session mentality. I do everything, and you never really know how dedicated people are until you witness it, in person. No? You think so?
Yeah, yeah, Ethan. Yeah, for me was the same. Was like when we make that concert, I got good memories of that concert. Was like that's the thing. We don't have to talk as much. We don't have to. It's just to play the music and to create something in the moment, and that was happening in that concert. And of course, I realized that was the real moment. I realized that we have to make something together, no, because that was like a wow.
Let's listen to
Yeah.
our next track. This is March of the Siguriras. So I'll let you, when we get the when you get the album after the show, you can listen to the rest of how that all unfolds. This brings us to the philosophical part of our conversation. Quote, the liner notes to The Blues Around Us state, in a recent online cartoon, there are two ticketing lines spread across the screen. On the left, it reads repetitive three-chord music written in less than 10 minutes. On the right side, extremely complex music that a genius spent years writing. The line for the left booth was packed and trailing into the distance. The right line had nobody. It's all about authenticity versus current fads, a deep dive into exploring your craft and delivery instead of looking for quick hit hooks. It may not be overwhelmingly profitable, but certainly soul fulfilling in defining musical identities. End quote. First Ethan and then Chano. The liner notes seem to imply that you weren't sure that doing a blues based album would be a commercial success. How do you each deal with setbacks, discouragements, and disappointments?
I have to credit Chano for really wanting to do the blues record because um even though I love the blues so much, I was hesitant to record a blues album because I just, it's we're struggling financially hard enough in this world now musically that a blues record is not typically what's going to generate the contemporary jazz interest or a commercial interest at all. And I'm happy we did it, but it took a little bit of convincing on his end um, that we should, just play to our souls and put the investment there. And I was happy, eventually to do that. But it was a risk. It was a risk financially, so we had to come at it uh, from a place of joy and a place of spirituality and a place of what we believe in musically. And that's why that's why we ended up making the record. I don't think anybody's making sort of instrumental blues record these days thinking they're going to make the money back, you know.
Chano?
I don't move for making things for to see if we wanna win, get money or no. I never has that thinking because the music that I do, I know from the beginning that is something that is not gonna I don't gonna be rich, but I don't want to be rich. I want to be rich in my life, in my time, and enjoy my time and make happy all the people around me. And this is my purpose. For me, if I can do that through the music, that is a triumph. You know what I mean? For me. So this is the way that I think. Um, I would. I really wanted to make this record with Ethan, and we was working like more than 5 years right, Ethan? Because Ethan, when I was living in Brooklyn, Ethan came and we spent like a few days together, like a pre view or of the blueses and what can we do. It's a hard work, um, but it's the way that I feel good, and I feel alive. And I feel doing something that I get exciting, and I get joy, and I see that I see the joy in the people around when you play it. So for me, that is great. I really thanks the universe or the God or wherever to allow to me to do that.
Let's watch. Actually, we have a treat here. This is a music video of 68 Sentiments.
Yeah.
If you want to gain this down, you can. All right, all set?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to piano.
So, last question, first to Ethan and then to Chano. What do you wish all of us who listen to this album, what would you like us to take away from our experience with this music?
That maybe that it's the product of people putting in, their hearts into cross cultural connection and unity, really. That's what the record ends up being, and it comes through the voice of jazz, but it's really, it's a couple people who have connected and put their hearts into something and invested into something that connects the world, connects countries, connects cultures, connects musical learning, connects a lot of things. And so I think at the end of the day, that's kind of what the record is, and once again, jazz provides a beautiful road for that to happen.
Chano?
Well, I think this is a nice proof that the music doesn't have boundaries or borders or flags. It's just the human being is expressing his feelings, his and I think that record you can feel the both worlds together, and this is it. This is our world. We are all connected. We are all the same. It doesn't matter if you was born in Los Angeles or in Cádiz or in Alaska or in Costa Rica. All the human beings we need the same. So music show you how to put together different cultures, different way of thinking, that at the end is the same way of thinking. So I'm happy for that.
Let's see how we can stay in touch with Chano. It's easy enough on Instagram. It is Chano Domínguez Oficial. And people can reach out to you through messages if they would like to get in touch with you, Chano.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
feel free to reach out to Chano. Again, that's Chano
yeah.
Domínguez Oficial on
Oh,
Instagram. And Ethan is Imaginario Music. Ethan, people can reach out to you on Instagram through Imaginario Music.
Sure. Yeah.
So Ethan looks forward to hearing from you. And thank you so very much to Chano Domínguez and to Ethan Margolis.
and to you, Simon.
Thanks, Simeon, for having us. Right on.
So before we go, I'd just like to bring our attention to the Vienna Live website at www.simeonmoro.com, where you can find all information about upcoming shows. I'd like to bring to your attention that we have a sponsorship campaign going on right now. And for $5 a month, you will receive the gift of a One Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug. For $10 monthly, you receive One Vienna Live Celebrates 5 Years mug and One Vienna Live City tote bag. And for coming up next week, we have Peter Siglis clarinet concertos recordings. Psalm Recordings is pleased to release clarinet concertos, 4 works for solo clarinet and wind orchestra, including 2 world premiere recordings. The soloist is English clarinetist Peter Siglis, who enjoys a wide and varied career and is in great demand as a soloist and chamber musician. His burgeoning career as a clarinet soloist has taken him to festivals in Spain, France, the Netherlands, and the US. These concertos are conducted by Laszlo Marosi, the world's foremost authority on Hungarian wind music, and Ferenc Szabó, the founder of the Győr Symphonic Band. So come next Wednesday to Peter Sigler's clarinet concertos. As always, all information about upcoming shows is available at www.simeonmoro.com. Once again, thank you so very much to Chano Domínguez and to Ethan Margolis. Thank you to Vienna Live's corporate and individual sponsors. Your ongoing support allows Vienna Live to operate as a free music public service. Thanks to my cousin Mike and a marketer from Layer App. If you're an architect or an engineer, they have a really cool tool you should check out. Most of all, of course, thanks to you, our participants who make it all worthwhile. From Barcelona, Spain, Washington, D.C., and Camarillo, California, goodbye and see you next Wednesday.
Adios.
Bye.